into that ownership bag because they still like that upfront money with the partnership is kind of what gets them every time. You know, I would if I was in Kanye's situation, I would probably say, yo, instead of partnership, let me just get so and so amount of shares in Adidas.
Hmm.
Now you can't push me out, but when they offer that check, they put that check on the table. It's hard for niggas to say no.
Have you guys ever heard Master Kim talk about like being a limited partner, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And, he talks about basically going to get effed over. But those connections, and hopefully you learn as much as you can from him to when that time comes that you're going to get effed over, you're in a position to, above where you were. You've leveraged that relationship. And I think what you've seen is that he didn't really leverage the relationship. It became a dependency relationship
Yeah.
where if they didn't manufacture his shoes, then, well, he didn't have a business. Right. And that is, it's an unfortunate situation to be in, where, if you don't own the manufacturing of it, he had no plants to fall back on to print his own shoes. And it just may be one of those businesses that's just not scalable, to have your own brand of shoes without selling other shoes. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thought of mine.
Mm.
Yeah. I honestly, I think the, Kanye really did take Adidas brand to the next level. Nobody was rocking Adidas really for years, honestly. And it is unfortunate he didn't think a lot more tactically. And here for the T is right. Please guys,
Yeah,
get the likes up. Yeah, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. And if you want to help sponsor this episode of the Morning Roast, please hit Portia's Cash App. It's scrolling at the bottom. Portia J, $10 a day for Portia J. Um, we really appreciate it.
This is one of the comments from the video. I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. This is from
Mhm.
Lance, Lance T. Mason. I'm not sure who that is, but he does have a blue check. Uh, where's the breakdown, or where this breaks down is where everyone achieves wealth through partnership, but you have to sustain the partnership long enough to realize your paper gains. Elon got his first win with PayPal and parlayed it. I respect him for the risk he took to get to that level he's at now. He's one of the greatest founders of all time. Peter Thiel and Max were going to write a book about Elon and call it The Man Who Knew Nothing About Risk for a reason.
Damn.
Any thoughts on that?
Again, like, there is, even though there are no factories, I guess, with PayPal, there is, IP, there's intellectual property there, the code that runs the software. You look at Puffy, for instance. I mean, he was the epitome of what the guy in Earn Your Leisure is talking about, and that his wealth was pretty much all licensing deals, right? There wasn't a liquor brand that he owned. It was all
Yeah.
licensing deals. And you remember the guy, the lady that called in, we called her the one that owned the printing shop.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think Stanley was very impressed by her because she had all that equipment. You remember that?
Yep. She basically was a one-shop stop. She
Right.
owned everything.
And you think about how many t-shirt and clothing brands that these guys have created, and they don't have one t-shirt manufacturing,
Yep.
plant or
Yep.
anything. They couldn't even team up. And this is what I'm saying, the lack of scale.
The funny thing though with Kanye is he's there now. Like he actually owns everything now outright. But I think in his kind of psychotic mind, he had to alienate all of his partners just so he could own everything outright.
I think I heard him saying something to that effect. In a Twitter rant, he was saying like, something they can't take advantage of me. They don't want it. Something it was along those lines. But interestingly enough, that pendant that he has, he had it made by a Jewish person. He said so. He says anyway.
That is kind of ironic.
The secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Sold to the NOI.
And I think that's more or less what he's saying. Like they want to just make money, and if they can't make money off of it, then this is his thoughts. But if they can make money, like make you a pendant, even if they disagree with the shit, if they can monetize it, they'll be game for it. And I think he's trying to make a point by making that pendant and having a Jewish person make it. Interesting.
Universal, what do you think? What do you think about what that guy said?
Yeah, I think I like both of y'all's perspectives. I'm aligned with what you guys are thinking, but he's right. Like at some point, you do have to take a risk and parlay it. And I think that as black business people, we are afraid to take that risk because we haven't seen enough people do it that look like us. Therefore, we stay in our comfort zones and stay stuck with the partnerships, and then get frustrated when they're not able to reach the heights of these other type of things that happen. I think the Adidas Kanye is a good example, but I'm thinking more on a more local level with people who may own like a gas station, and then the BP or the Publix or whoever comes to you to buy your gas station. What do you do in that situation? I do a lot of business, but I don't meet a lot of business people who are talking about franchising and stuff. But in these groups that I'm in, people are talking about, wait, there's an area of town they don't have a Chick-fil-A. Does anybody want to go into partnership and bring a Chick-fil-A here? So there's just things that we miss as a collective that we probably should get into, but we just don't do it due to the risk.
Are you familiar with how you own a Chick-fil-A? It may have changed since I last looked at it.
I'm not, but I have looked at other franchises. But go ahead.
Chick-fil-A is one of those ones where you have to be religious, or at least you used to have to be religious.
Sure, yeah, they're not open on Sundays. Yep.
And it would really introduce religion into they put you kind of like through a filter and make sure you're a good fit. And I don't think you own them. I think you're like a owner operator type thing.
Right, you are.
And so there's a little bit more reliance on you being the owner operator. Like you're not going to own 50 Chick-fil-A's, right? Mm-hmm. You're only going to own a handful that they think that you can own, maybe unless you get a company to do it. I don't know if they do. Those type of things really require you to go into a fast food restaurant and work that place. Mm-hmm. McDonald's and all that does the same.
Yeah,
you have the ability to make $100,000 a year and live a pretty good life, and I'm just saying 100
as a minimum, yeah.
Versus working 80 hours a week to get your McDonald's up and running. I don't see many Americans taking that step back to do it. If they even had the money, most of them don't. You'd have to pull your money together. They're not going to do that either.
Right. Yeah. But again, it's the percentages things too, right? So if you can do that and open up 5 Chick-fil-A's or whatever, we're just using them as an example. And the hell, that's some good money for some people. But do you learn enough of the skill set, the know-how to get rid of that at some point and just build your own thing where you can make even more money? But again, we just don't get that far down the thought process.
I was telling you guys about you've seen many people call in on the channel here. The Hispanics, they talk about how they have a network. Mm-hmm. So I used to go to this real fancy pizza place here in DC. It's called Pizzeria Paradiso. It's an Italian pizza place over in Georgetown. And so one of the workers opened up a restaurant in my neighborhood, Northwest neighborhood. And he had an agreement where he couldn't open up within so many miles of them. And they more or less allowed him to use their menu and everything. But he had to go in there and grind and learn how to make a pizza. He was Hispanic, but he learned how to make a pizza. And then he opened up a pizza place in my neighborhood. And I think, being down at the bottom isn't necessarily bad if you have aspirational goals of moving up. You'll take whatever job comes to you, and you never know how it may work out there. But a lot of Americans aren't willing to do that.
Yeah. That's I think what stops a lot of people in business is you definitely got to have that humility. You got to be able to get down and, as John Galt showed us, you got to be willing to pull the dread out the drain. I think it's you could apply that to any business.
Well,
you're willing to put it.
Let me ask you this, HB.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably with education would look down on truckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever felt depression? Like, damn, like I went to college, I got a degree, and I'm driving a truck.
You know, I've definitely felt it, but you know, when I did finish when I graduated, I started my own business. So, you
Mm,
know, I had already, you know, that first year, you know, a lot of the stuff we were doing was, you know, stuff for free. I was doing stuff just to get my, you know, my company out there. And up until COVID, we were, you know, pretty successful. So for me, like being at the bottom and starting a new career, it wasn't really that big a deal for me, just
mm,
because I had on my own business for so long, you know. So and you know, building the networks and you know, it just takes time, you know.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I didn't really think about it like that, like oh, I'm taking a step back or anything like that. It was just more, you know, I'm gonna just apply the kind of same kind of skills and knowledge just to do something else.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, the reason why I asked you that question is because you look at that lawyer guy that can't pay any money. You want to discuss that? Or you want to wait to
Yeah,
discuss it?
go for it.
Yeah,
It kind of ties into black ownership. There's some things he could probably do and do better than trying to be a lawyer,
yeah,
right? Um, but his education probably precludes him from doing it, right?
yeah,
You know, I'm
yeah,
better at being a trucker, but truckers make a hell of a lot more money. You wouldn't be owing me any rent,
yeah.
right? You live in your truck, and you'd be making a shitload of money
Mm-hmm.
to help your daughter out as opposed to her helping you out. Which leads us into what we talked about yesterday. HB, I don't know if you were listening. You say you listened to some of it, the black guy begging.
Yeah, yeah. I had to stop listening because it was brutal, man. It was brutal. Him like coming up and knowing that he has a daughter too, like, bro, that makes it even worse.
How many of you guys heard that yesterday? The guy calling in about he said he borrowed $90 from his daughter to pay toward his rent. Man, he was up here groveling yesterday, HB, to the
Yeah,
point that Lindy Lou said it's sad to see a man begging like that.
yeah,
Did you hear it, Universal?
I did not hear it yesterday. No.
Oh man,
yeah.
it was something.
Yeah, it was next level, man. And I mean, this is a graduate. This is somebody with a degree, and you know, I think it is something to that, John, where a lot of guys with that education, they won't humble themselves to put themselves in the right situation.
Right.
You know, like when he was telling you, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that on a bike." Nigga, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Nigga, you know. Stop it. How many deliveries you done got where a nigga pulled up on a tricycle? Nigga, you knew. I didn't know. So it's like you gotta play stupid just to explain your situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting, man. I don't know how his daughter ever recovers um, her, her feelings or her, attitude toward him having to loan him $90. You
And that's
bought it.
and you know, that's why, John, that's why I think a lot of, that's why a lot of black women, that's why they be dating white boys nowadays, that's why. They look at their daddies like, damn, this nigga ain't shit. I
Mhm.
can't trust none of these. You can't even trust your daddy? How you gonna trust any of these niggas, man? For real.
Well, you can't depend on him,
You
right? You may
can't.
be able to
You can't.
trust him, right? But you can't depend on him for nothing,
You can't. You
right?
can't.
Mm.
That's really that really turns the relationship upside down where he's calling her for money, right? When in reality, she should be giving him money and giving her money. You know what I
Mm.
mean? These things are really turned upside down. You know what I mean? And I think it plays out in what we're seeing in the street. To be honest with you,
Mm.
it's just my opinion. What do you think, Universal?
No, it absolutely plays out in the street all the time. Um, It's unfortunate, man. Things are so messed up for so many black men. Stuff is just backwards. That you have to scramble and scrape just to get support from anyone. I'm glad that he does have a daughter that can help him because sounds like he was just assed out. Period.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that is a good thing that at least he has her to help. But I think what makes it so sad and pathetic is, that's your network right there is your goddamn daughter. It should never
Mm,
come to that, but unfortunately, that's the reality for a lot of black men.
Well, I think if it wasn't so one-sided, it would be okay, right? If
Yeah,
if there's some back and forth to it, but more than likely,
yeah,
he's been the one doing the asking, the begging, right? She knows that she can't go to him for anything, right? And so, you'll see situations where it starts to just break down the communication because shit, if I call my daddy, he probably gonna be asking for something, so I ain't gonna call him,
right,
right?
right.
yeah.
So that's very interesting. Someone said Stanley's having a rough morning. What happened to Stanley this morning? He had a rough. Is he?
Do, do do we need to tune in to check in on Stanley?
Yeah, Stanley okay? Stanley okay?
Let's see if I can pull it up.
He didn't. He didn't adopt the FBA yesterday.
Oh, he's watching us. He's
Oh,
May
okay,
be,
okay,
he
okay,
may be
okay.
regretting not adopting the FBA yesterday.
Motherfucker! Stanley's drunk. Yeah, yeah.
Oh god.
Stanley earned that. He earned to be drunk, man. Stanley is retired. Served our country. Raised his son. He deserves to be drunk every day, man. God bless Stanley.
Let the man have his drink.
Right. He earned
Cheers.
that, man.
Universal man, I put a couple of topics in the back chat. You want to cover some of these? I'm gonna
Let
see.
me
If
pull
they
him
say,
up here.
let's see if they say here. I don't know if they say that.
I don't see him.
Okay, here's a. Okay, let me see. I heard Stanley this morning. What was he talking? I wonder what was he talking about this morning.
Yeah, me too.
I wonder what was Stanley talking about. Okay, here's one. Let me put it in the back chat here. Let me find it. I pulled it up. Let's see. Now I want to play that one. Here's the one. Damn, I misplaced it that quick. What did I put it? Oh, here it is. Here it
Well,
is.
yeah, I'm not here for the tea. I'm not surprised about that. I'm not surprised that.
What you going off on 90 Shabbat?
Oh man, I'm not surprised.
Here is a video. This popular guy, Black Boy Mac.
Oh, I just pulled that up on the side, John. I was gonna bring it in. Go ahead.
I don't know if this shit is copyrighted, but I'm going to assume that it is for the sake of argument. And I'll play a little bit of it. I'll zip through it. Let me mute it. And I'll let you guys come in as you see fit. I'm not going to say too much here.
Oh, and just so people know, Plaque Boy, whatever his name is, he's a streamer that he streams studio sessions with rappers and bloggers. And
Yeah.
is that Sexy Red right there?
That is Sexy Red. Yes.
Oh, that's Shrimp the T's favorite artist. Okay.
Get it sexy. Get it sexy.
Sexy Red.
Notice him right now. What do you notice, guys, so far as we're looking at this?
It looks like niggas in their habitat. Hey, niggas in the wild right now. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh man.
One of the things I think about this is, this guy is very successful. This Black Boy Max, apparently.
Yes.
And he doesn't allow weed smoking in his places.
Yeah.
He went viral about that, smoking weed. In other words, he probably not of the culture like that. He doesn't seem to even be comfortable in that culture right there. You just look at how he's moving.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
It's just, them niggas up there shaking their ass, pointing guns. Like look at Sexy Red. Like, nigga, I'm about to get my ass blown out.
Look at the one to the far left. Now she's cute in the face. That body though is Oh, what is
Man,
going on?
Oh, jeans.
Yeah, with the G's. Yeah, with the big tattoo.
I think here for the T somewhere in the back. I'm dancing
Hey,
too.
where's T at? That's
Get
T
it,
Sons right
T.
there. Those are T Sons, huh?
Get it, T. Get it, T.
Where Mo Love at? Where Mo Love?
Ah, not Mo
Oh,
Love.
where Mo Love at?
Oh, child.
Ooh,
Oh,
child.
Put this out to say, like, he has been able to somewhat monetize his ghetto behavior.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's probably not of it. He don't even want nobody smoking weed, and he willing to follow the Airbnb
He
rules.
rules, yeah.
I
he,
know
he ain't taking the smoke detector out, John.
people that smoke anyway, right? Most of them will smoke any fucking
Yep.
whatever, but he's willing to confront these blacks about no smoking, no violating the rules. I can pay for all the damages that you do, but I'm not going to do it anyway. He can afford to pay for it, presumably, right?
Right.
yeah.
Not allowing them to do it. He doesn't necessarily fit into the culture, but he can make money on the fringes of that culture. He'll make more money than all those people, right?
Yeah.
And I just found it to be interesting. They are exhibiting the ghetto behavior, and he's there just monetizing it.
Yeah, you
Yes.
know, John, I think it's with any business though that you run, you have to have a certain level of professionalism. Even when I was in Chicago shooting, party videos and music videos for hood niggas, like I couldn't, even though at that time I did smoke, I couldn't sit there and smoke with them and turn up and drink. You got to have a certain level of professionalism. Even when they pull the pistols out, you still got to be a professional. And I think that's how you kind of garner the respect from the savages. You got to always have
Mm,
that
Mm,
professionalism, no matter
mm.
what's going on.
right. Really standing on business, like for
You know,
real.
but
Yep.
in some of these studios, they're in there smoking. They're going in late at night, midnight. Smoking
Mhm.
weed all day. Like, he is able to kind of harness their ghetto cultural energy and monetize it and get very wealthy doing it.
Yep.
And what we've seen is all along the fringes, these people, maybe a little bit headier, are able to make money off of this cultural rot, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Be it Big U shaking people down, or this guy putting together their music. I think we're seeing a pattern here. Very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the actual clip where Sexy Red gets frustrated because she can't smoke in the Airbnb.